What's up, everybody, and welcome to Derek Andre TV. I'm Derek Andre, your host. All right. And we are still talking about steps in the right direction. 28 questions to ask yourself before dating someone who has children. This would be episode number 6. All right. There are going to be 28 episodes in total. If you have not had an opportunity to watch the first 5 episodes, I suggest you take a little time after you're done watching this one and go back and watch the other 5. They're all pretty good, man. This episode is, what's the topic for this episode? Oh, the topic for this episode is, have you ever had a step parent or a non-biological parent? And if so, how was your relationship with them? All right. Now, before we get into the topic, if this is your first time to the channel, please, by all means, click the subscribe button and the reminder bell so that you never have to miss another video. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and tell a friend. All right. That way, YouTube will be like, oh, this channel is a great channel. We need to show it to other people. And it will be recommended on the homepage to new subscribers, and it will help my channel grow. All right. So thank you very much. All right. Now, let's get into the topic. So, today's topic is, or today's question, because it's not a topic, today's question is, did you have a step parent or a non-biological parent? And if so, how was your relationship with that parent? All right. So, I always try to speak from my own experiences, which, just where I get my information from is usually through life experiences. And all while I was young, I did not have a non-biological parent in the house with me. All right. My mother did not marry until I was 17 years old. Okay. So I kind of came in on the backside of having a non-biological parent in the house with me. And I got to be quite honest with you. It kind of sucked. Okay. I mean, it really did. So the guy that my mom married, she dated him for years. For years, he was fine. He was not a bad person. We all got along. He never spent the night or anything like that. They would, go out and hang out, and then she would come home and he'd go to where he lived. But when they got married, that's when the bottom fell out. All right. And so my experience with a non-biological parent was not a good one. And my mother only stayed married to the guy for about a year. They dated for several years, but she only stayed married to him for about a year because he was pretty jacked up. There was some substance abuse issues, and it really wreaked havoc on him as a person. And it's kind of unfortunate because when he was sober, he was fine. He was actually a really nice guy, but the substances, man, they ruined it. And so my experience with non-biological parenting and having a step parent in the house for was not that great. Also, my first experience with parenting was me being a non-biological parent. And so having a bad experience with my non-biological parent made me want to not be that person. It made me want to be the best parent that I could be. Now, the girl that I was dating, and if you want to know about that, on this channel, there is a video called How to Ruin Your Life in 5 Easy Steps. You guys should read that because it kind of breaks down how I some decisions that I made growing up and how it affected my life, and it's still affecting my life. But one of the first things that I did was I started dating someone who had a child that was 6 weeks old when I was 19. And so that was my first experience as a parent, as a non-biological parent and a parent at the same time. And so even though the baby was small, I knew that if I was going to be in his life, I wanted to not be I didn't want his experience to be like my experience was. Now, we didn't stay together long enough for that to even become a reality, but people that I have dated throughout the years, even now in my marriage, I am still a non-biological parent. And so from my experience with my mother's ex-husband, I knew that I wanted to be a much better version of what I experienced than from what I experienced. And so I make sure that I'm loving and attentive, and I wanted to be all of those things that he was not. Okay. And so let's talk about you. Okay. If you are about to get into a relationship and someone has children and you don't, did you grow up with a non-biological parent? And if you did, how was your experience? Because if your experience was bad, it goes both ways. If your experience was bad, you don't want to take that negative mindset into this relationship and be a bad step parent and be a bad non-biological parent. All right. You should be able to look back at what you didn't like in that relationship that you had with your non-biological parent and pull from it the things that you liked and the things that you did not like. Okay. And the things that you did not like, it's simple. Don't become that. All right. Now, if on the flip side of that, you had a pleasant experience with your non-biological parent, then by all means, take that, what you learned and what you felt, into this relationship if you're going to see it out to fruition. All right. If you're gonna get with this person and y'all gonna make it work, then take the good that you got from your non-biological parent and bring that into that relationship. And also, having a good relationship with your non-biological parent is an asset to you as well, because if you find yourself in a situation where you have questions, well, you got a source. You have access to a source that you can go to and be like, hey, my wife's son or daughter, we're at this stage, they're this age and we're going through this and I don't know how to deal with it. What should I do? And if you're talking to someone who was literally who literally walked in the shoes that you're walking in now, then they will be able to help you and guide you and give you good insight on how to be the best parent that you can be. All right. Because one, if they raised you to be a great person, then obviously they want to be a part of knowing that you'll be a great parent to their now grandchild or grandchildren. So it goes both ways. All right. Either you can look at the bad, if you had a bad experience and be like, I don't want to be that person, or you could have had a good experience and take that information and carry that over into your current relationship and grow from there. Okay? Because at the end of the day, man, sometimes those experiences can play a big part. There's no secret that being a step parent or a non-biological parent, that it has a negative stigma to it. A lot of people have had bad experiences, but mainly because the person that got involved didn't know what they were getting into. And so they carried their mindset into this relationship, and it might be contradictory to what the person's, what the actual biological parent, the custodial parent, it might contradict what they had in mind, And so, like I said, you just have to ask yourself these questions. You have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, how am I going to handle this? Or am I ready for this? Or do I want to be a part of this? Like the episode prior to this one, episode number 5, the question was, are you willing to share the title? Are you willing to share the title of mom or dad? Because if you're going into this relationship and this child already has a parent that's, both of their parents and both parents are active, you might be in a position where you have to share the title of mom or dad, or they may be calling you by your first name. And are you okay with that? So there are lots of things that you have to take into consideration when you are going to get involved with someone who has children. Okay? I mean, you just got to think these things through. Had I had this type of information when I was 19, I may have moved different. I may have not made that decision, because people talk to you all the time about how to not get someone pregnant or how to not, become a parent. But not many people talk to you about step parenting. And if you look at the statistics, 50% of families in this country are blended families, man. There are so many blended families in this country. And so when you look at those statistics, it lets you know that there's just as many people that are step parents as there are people who are biological parents. All right. And so when you look at it from that point, you're like, wow, okay, that's quite a lot, Yeah, you want to have your children with you want to raise your children with the person you have them with, but sometimes things don't work out. And a lot of times we put more emphasis on making babies than we do on making families. And, once we change that dynamic, then maybe, just maybe, the numbers will kind of switch and there will be fewer non-biological or blended families than there are blended families. But if you are in a blended family, hey, more power to you. I'm in one and I love my children to death, and so, but yeah, just ask yourself the proper questions and don't be afraid to give yourself real answers. All right. So, all right, that's this episode number 6 of Steps in the Right Directions, Steps in the Right Direction questions, 28 questions to ask yourself before getting involved with someone who has children. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, please, by all means, click the subscribe button and the reminder bell so you never have to miss another video. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. Be sure to check out some of the other content on the channel because there's some great information on there as well. And visit my website, DerekAndre.com, and pick yourself up a book or a t-shirt. Oh, and if you want the PDF for this series, all right, it is on my website, DerekAndre.com/read, and just look for the PDF, Steps in the Right Direction, 28 questions to ask yourself before getting involved with someone who has children. All right, y'all, that's the episode for the day. I'll see you on the next one. Be good, be peace, be love, be one.